Welcome to a new daily top Askreddit video. Today's topic: sign language users of Reddit. What is a common sign you see people do without being aware they are doing it? A colleague of mine once told me a story about how he was singing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star for a group of children when he noticed a lady at the back of the room stifling a laugh. She approached him afterwards to apologize and explain that his hand symbol for star was pretty much sign language for vagina, so couldn't help her reaction. He altered the delivery of the song for future audiences. Twinkle, twinkle little twat. How I wonder where you're at. Edit: this is now my greatest upvoted post thus far and I'm getting awards for making fun of deaf kids' vaginas. You guys are awesome. 3. Up above the knees so high. Like a diamond to the thighs. I took sign language for 3 years at high school. Our principal would incorrectly sign the word thank you, and would instead do the sign for the word slut. My sign language teacher let her do it for 3 months before correcting her. Edit: this is the sign for thank you. https www.sigxavi.com/sign/thank%sign 20you/426/1. This was the sign my principal was doing, thinking it was the word for thank you. https www.sigxavi.com/sign/slut/7921/1. What's the sign for slut? There's a deaf woman at my grocery store and I tell her thank you every time I go through her line. I hope. Edit: oh dear. She's deaf. Not dead. Don't worry. If she's dead she won't know the difference. I don't know, sounds like it might actually be bitch. No slut sign I know is similar to thank you. There was a fad a few years ago where people did peace signs on their foreheads in selfies, that means stupid in ASL. Also frequent to see people say vagina, lesbian or period. Occasionally hearing people mess up trying to sign thank you to me and accidentally say fuck you. My CALC teacher is guilty of the thank you /fuck you mix up. No, I was telling you to vacuum. BSL user here. You should know that whenever you do a double-handed finger gun, you're dangerously close to saying anal sex. From now on my standard greeting will be a double-handed finger gun. Zoop. Nervously sweats in bisexual. As a deaf bisexual who likes butt stuff, it can only be a plus. It would be really funny to get a video of someone who gestures a lot when they give speeches and do subtitles as if you're interpreting their gestures with the nearest equivalent ASL signs. Like an ASL version of bad lip reading on YouTube. They watched in confusion. One deaf. And one not. The president spoke and he gestured a lot. I don't understand him, signed one with a sigh. The other responded, and neither do I. Pretty please, this would be amazing. I have neither the resources or the talent, but I would love to watch this. Worked security in a class office building with a guy who had a deaf daughter. Every once in a while he would slip signs in as he was talking. Had a lady file a complaint against him for blowing her a kiss. He had slipped into signing and said thank you. Edit: wow, went for a walk and this took off. So, for context, this was a large office building owned by a national bank who occupied about 40% of the space. The lady was an employee of said bank. We were employees of a security company contracted by the building managers, and people generally look down upon those working in security, hence the complaint. As for what happened with it, the property people let my boss do an investigation without having a knee-jerk reaction. They were pretty cool that way. My co-worker explained what happened and that was that. It also helped that there were 2 deaf workers in the lady's own department that knew that my guy could sign. My co-worker seemed amused by the whole situation. My old neighbor was a speech therapist, so she often slipped sign into conversation. What was odd to me is that she didn't notice when people signed back. My youngest son was functionally deaf until after ear surgery and would often sign, and it just slipped by her. My good daughter's son signed for nearly 4 years before he decided to talk. No physical reason, he was just more comfortable with it, and again she never noticed. Seemed so odd. Edit: I'm leaving it lol. My goddaughters are the only daughters I have and they are both good, so it works lol. That's what happens when you reply without reading it back. I mean, it makes sense. English is my second language, but sometimes I can just suddenly start speaking in English without noticing, and if the other person doesn't react to it, it can go on forever before I notice. Or watching TV and I'll just casually pay attention and then my grandma will ask, did you understand all that? And I got confused for a minute before I realized it wasn't Norwegian. My wife is Turkish. I'm pretty fluent, but sometimes she has to translate. She often just repeats what was just said instead of translating and we have to remind her to translate. I also had a friend who was fluent in English, Portuguese, and French. It was fun to listen her on the phone with her parents as she would casually run through all three within a couple of sentences. I slip signs in all the time too, it's just habit. What a goofy lady. I slip signs in too when I'm driving. I see lesbian signed alert without being aware. It's the first finger and thumb in the shape of an L placed on the chin. People do this when pondering something. Edit, well, quite the response. Some of your replies are funny too, like how in Filipino it's handsome. And for those the asked, no deaf people don't even tend to notice unless someone does it excessively. Have fun watching for it now. What about a finger and thumb in the shape of an L on her forehead? And they don't stop coming. You say that, but the reality is I'm thinking about lesbians. I do that one on purpose in case I ever meet a cute lesbian who knows sign language. So she knows. I do this too. Vagina. It always makes me giggle a bit. This happens a lot in Oregon. The University of Oregon sports fans have a lot of spirit, and they like to put their hands together in an O and cheer. Unfortunately, many of them put their hands together in the wrong way and you have half a stadium signing vagina and shouting an extended O in excitement. TBF, if I'm at a stadium and everyone just starts talking about vagina, I'd be pretty amped up too. Once forgot the sign for pizza, so I made a triangle with my thumbs and pointer fingers. Lol, my ASL teacher slapped my hands so fast. But I never forgot the sign for pizza again. Edit, I forgot to add that the sentence I was trying to say was something like I ate pizza. So yeah. If you vagina when you should have pizza-d, you're gonna have a bad time. Once I tried to sign work with slightly limp wrists and a little oomph. For anyone who doesn't get this joke, it's the sign for doggy still. My ASL teacher lauaghed. Not ASL, but Arabic. Turns out, if you mispronounce squash, you are saying a very vulgar term for vagina. Hilarity was when our ultra-Christian classmate told very Catholic Ustaza that he enjoyed fried vagina. You like fried what? You can't say that. Then she whacked him on the head with her papers, which was itself impressive as he is over 6 feet tall and she is barely 5. Sergeants could yell at us all day, but the fear of God belonged to Ustaza alone. Edit, because Ustaza is over 5 inches. Barely. How many times I've seen guys unknowingly sign lesbian in ASL when flirting with girls in real life and in the movies. This sign. My gay brother used to do this in pictures and someone pointed out one day what it meant. He only did it more after that, and when he was talking about his lesbian friends would do the sign when talking about her sexuality. Mom, Dad, I may. The sign for go. My man. Removed. Every time you make a thumbs up, you're saying the number 10. Every time you do the OK sign, you're saying the number 9. Every time you cross your fingers, it's the letter R. Edit, yes, I'm talking about ASL, sorry for any confusion. When I do the OK sign, I'm saying the letter F. Anytime you've held up your index finger and your middle finger to indicate 2, then corrected yourself and held up your ring finger to indicate 3, you've unintentionally advertised for Volkswagen. I need to write them a letter and demand my 3 cents for doing so. But Germans start counting with their thumb. So 2 is thumb and index, 3 is thumb, index, middle finger. Till glorious bastards, I wasn't even aware that not everyone is doing it like that. The sign for the number 6. When you are trying to indicate 3 by holding 3 fingers up with the pointer, middle and ring finger, you are saying 6 in sign language. The number 3 is pointer, middle and thumb. I once had a student that didn't even use the ASL 6. Her version of 3 was actually equivalent to ASL 7. It was so weird. Actually, that's the shocker. That girl is a psychopath. And it's German for shoot me, I'm a spy. I briefly took a sign language class in college. On day 1, the teacher assigned all of us name signs related to the first letter of our first names. My first name starts with C, and she assigned me a name sign with a C shape signed on my left chest. Which I later learned is the actual sign in my area for citation. The chest position relates to the position of a police officer's badge, I guess. I was mostly amused. If this is ASL, it also means police officer. That's a fairly common sign name for people who start with C though. Seems weird to assign sign names in the first class. They can be based on personality, appearance, anything. I just feel like you should get to know a person before getting assigned a sign name. When I took ASL, the prof's rule was that if you befriended someone in the local deaf community and they gave you a sign name, it was all good, but it was rude and reprehensible to assign yourself one or have a hearing person give you one, unless they were a part of the deaf community.